Hello, everyone, and welcome to Good Shepherd Sunday. Today's gospel is from the 10th chapter of John. Jesus said, "I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd, and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the Good Shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. So the question is, does my life matter? Do I make a difference in the world, and if so, how? I suspect we all struggle with these questions or questions like them. I'm pretty sure that at some level these questions are always with us, and we don't just want someone else to say yes, we want to be able to say yes for ourselves. I think that is part of the reason for our busyness. We are trying to show that our life does matter and that we do make a difference. It is often the unstated, maybe even the unknown reason why we work so hard, especially when we're developing our careers. We've got to prove ourselves. We've got to achieve because we want to make sure that people know and that we know that our life matters and that we do make a difference. And we've probably all had times, if you look back on your life, you ask yourself, what have I done? And whether you actually made a difference in the world. Regardless of when or how these questions come up, I think they are grounded in a deeper longing and desire for abundance in our life. We want to be abundant people. We want to live an abundant life. In the verse prior to the start of today's gospel, Jesus said, "I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly." That verse falls at the end of the first half of what is often called the Good Shepherd Discourse. Today we hear the second half, beginning with verse 11. Jesus' statement about bringing abundant life is the hinge between these two halves, and it sets the tone for his telling the story today about the Good Shepherd, the hired hand, the sheep, and the wolf. I want to look at those four images in relationship to abundance. Where do you experience abundance in your life? What does abundance mean to you? What does it feel like when you live apart from abundance? Now, I'm not talking about abundance in terms of quantity. It is not a quantity. Abundance is a quality of life. It's a way of being. We can all tell of a time when we worked really hard and waited a really long time for something, and when we finally got it, it didn't fill us up. It didn't satisfy us. We got what we wanted, but we had no abundance. Abundance is that quality of life that connects us with the divine, with the holy, and with what's good, true, and beautiful in the world. It's not so much about getting something we don't have, but living more fully into what is already present. So that abundance is love that leads to love, joy that leads to joy, peace that leads to joy, or peace, and kindness that leads to more kindness. It's stepping more deeply and more fully into our own life and into the life of another. Abundance is Jesus' way of being in this world. It is the presence of God lived through your life and mine. So let's take a look at these four images, the Good Shepherd, the sheep, the hired hand, and the wolf, and consider them as a lens through which we see abundance, windows into the abundant life. When we hear about the Good Shepherd, who do we think of? Jesus, of course. That's the usual answer, and it is the correct answer. I'm not disputing that it is Jesus, but could it be more than Jesus? Could you be a good shepherd? Could I be the good shepherd? Have there been good shepherds in your life? I don't think those questions take away from Jesus, but they expand and enlarge his presence. Think about Psalm 23 and what it says about the shepherd. The shepherd leads and guides. The shepherd revives. The shepherd protects. The shepherd companions. The shepherd nourishes and feeds. The shepherd sets a table of welcome and hospitality in a difficult place in life. When have you experienced that in your life? Have you ever had someone guide you in your life, set a table for and welcome you? Who has fed and nourished your soul? Have you ever had someone walk with you through the valley of the shadow of death? Were there good shepherds to you? Were they good shepherds to you? Have you ever had someone say or just do the right thing at just the right time because you couldn't do it for yourself? Or how about those times you did those things for someone else? You set the table. You were the guide. You were the companion. You were the good shepherd. I think this is happening in all sorts of ways. It happens when we parent, when we love our spouse, when we care for the sick or dying. It happens when someone shows up and says, "Hey, can I talk to you about my life? I want to tell you what's going on." And they ask us to be their shepherd. It happens when we go to another and say, "Let me tell you what's happening with me," and then ask them to be our shepherd. Here's the thing. The shepherd, regardless of who it is always leading to abundance, to the green pastures, to the still waters, to the table that is set and the cup that is overflowing. It's always about getting to that place of abundance, but it's not as if abundance wasn't already there. It's always been there, right in front of us. Sometimes we just need someone to point it out, to show us that it is already here, and to remind us of what really matters most. So what about the sheep? Who are the sheep typically thought to be? Us, right? Yeah, Jesus is the good shepherd. He leads, we follow, and that's how it's supposed to be. I've been thinking again that we need to expand on that image to make that a window through which we might see the abundance in our life. So what if the sheep are the things that really matter? What if the sheep are the things entrusted to us and that we entrust to one another? Think about sheep as your parenting, grandparenting, your friendships, your marriage, hopes, dreams, losses, sorrows, and fears. We've all entrusted those things into the hands and the life of another and been entrusted with those things by another. Someone comes to you and says, I'm really struggling in my marriage. They're a sheep asking for your shepherd guidance. Or you go to someone and say, I don't know how to get through this tough spot in my life. You are the sheep looking for a shepherd. There's something about sheep that is abundant. It's in their vulnerability, their honesty, and the way they hope. They are full and whole and life-giving. That's why they matter, why we care for them. It's why we receive that entrustment with respect and with honor. Jesus contrasts the good shepherd with the hired hand. The hired hand, he says, does not own the sheep and does not care for the sheep. For the good shepherd, the sheep are the goal and the reason for everything the shepherd does. The sheep are everything to the good shepherd. The hired hand punches the clock and shows up to receive their wages, and when the shift is over, poof, they're gone. And if babysitting sheep gets too difficult, too scary, too risky, or too wolfy, the hired hand runs away. The hired hand lives by quantity, not abundance. And probably every one of you can tell a story about a hired hand in your life, someone who, when you most needed them, ran out on you. Who have been the hired hands in your life? There's another side to that question that is equally, if not more, painful. It asks us to look at our life and the times that we were the hired hand to someone else, times when they needed us and we ran out on them. Hired hands stay only as long as the wages are good. They either refuse to see or cannot see the abundance that's already there. They trade abundance for wages. In what way have you experienced the hired hand in your life? Where there is a hired hand, there is probably a wolf. Wolves, Jesus says, snatch and scatter. Wolves devour life. They destroy abundance. They carry it off. Wolves come in all shapes and sizes in our world today. Sometimes it's the wolf of busyness, the wolf of achievement, the wolf of needing approval, or the wolf of having to be right and in control. And sometimes it is the wolf of fear, anger, or resentment. Or maybe it is the wolf of failure, despair, or brokenness. What wolves are you dealing with in your life today? How have they snatched and scattered your abundance or the abundance of another? In some way, Jesus is taking these 4 images and using them to paint a picture of abundance in life. If we look through these lenses and not just at them, these images all point to the abundant life Jesus is bringing and offering us. It's pretty easy to see the Good Shepherd and the sheep as images of abundance. They point to what is. But what about the hired hand and the wolf? That's more difficult, and yet they also point to abundance, but in a different way. They point to what is not there and remind us of what's been lost or carried away, abandoned. It is not as if the abundance was never there or can never be regained again. It's just gotten lost, scattered, or forgotten. So what do you see when you look through these windows on your life? Where's the abundance? What matters about you and your life? How might these images help you to make a difference, to live the abundant life? What will you do with what you see through these windows? I can't tell you what to do. I have no answers for you or for myself. I'm offering these 4 images not as answers, but simply as invitations to open our eyes and see what is. That's all that Jesus is really doing with this story. He says, you've got good shepherds, sheep, wolves, and hired hands, but he never really says what you are to do with that. It's almost as if he's saying, look at this in your life and begin to work it out. Make sense of it for yourself. There is no one right answer. There is only each of us working it out in our life. So what will you do with these 4 images today? You know, of course, that we are never just one of them. We are all of them. They are all parts of us, pieces of our lives, ways that we've been, and experiences that we've had. Every one of us could tell a story of when we were the Good Shepherd and we guided, protected, nourished. And we could tell a story we could tell that story about how 10 minutes later we were the hired hand and we ran off. We could talk about the sheep that are so valuable and about the wolf that devours, snatches, and scatters. I have come, Jesus says, that they may have life and have it more abundantly. It's his starting point and it's his goal. Abundant life is Jesus' promise to each of us. And all God's blessed people say, Amen. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy. See you next week.